When last we left our heroes, they had just successfully defeated the undead Ashk D&D, the Jade Tyrant, and recovered his journals. Now they must cross the sea of sand without falling victim to the dangers of the desert. Greetings gamers, I'm Anto and I've been playing tabletop games for almost 20 years now, and on this channel I'm all about helping you to be a better dungeon master and sharing stories of my experiences as a DM for you to learn from. With the Jade Tyrant dead, our players exit the tomb with Krask, the wounded half-orc barbarian that Malak healed in the previous session. When they get outside, they realise that Alam Zaki and the other surviving members of the rival party had already left. We actually forgot about Krask until later on in the session, so we kind of retconned it so that he left the tomb and returned to Sinir, while the other members of the party headed off to Azim. Now, during that 5-day travel back to Azim, our heroes come across a caravan of gnolls belonging to the Black Claw Raiders. This caravan is dozens strong and it's transporting prisoners. The heroes debate whether to get involved, but decide that they wouldn't be able to win the fight and they move on. Unfortunately, they get spotted by one of the Gnoll scouts and the session becomes kind of a chase across the desert. At the front of the Gnoll caravan, there's this large wagon with several war drums and a Gnoll spellcaster using prestidigitation to fire off sparks of flame into the sky. It was very Mad Max, it was pretty awesome. The Gnoll scouts catch up to our party as they rest, but they're pretty handily dispatched by the heroes. Our heroes do almost get caught by the entire Gnoll caravan, but they're able to take cover and hide thanks to Hyena leaving some strong smelling herbs to throw off the scent for the hyenas. Once the Blacklaw Raiders move on, our heroes set off proper for Azim. Azim is the merchant capital of Ashk. It's a huge market city that's dominated by the Great Bazaar, a sprawling labyrinth of traders and shops. As they approach the city, Hyena shares that she used to live here but had to leave in a hurry when she drew the ire of one of the Dina Mal, an investigator in the city who she believed was going to come after her because of her magical abilities. Hyena hadn't broken any laws and wasn't a fugitive, she was just worried that her life would be made difficult, so she left the city. When they arrive at Azim, I describe the chaos of the city-state. Outside the walls of the city, countless unlicensed traders try and peddle their poor quality wares on the players. And as they approach the city, they can see the Tameen, the local law enforcement, beating some of those unlicensed traders. Our heroes enter Azim near the original Great Bazaar, which is a bustling hive of stalls and stands. Yubi actually tries to sell a poorly skinned hyena pelt he took from one of the scout party and is offered a handful of birdseed as a reward, which he obviously turns down. The heroes move through the city, over the bridge across the River Tharian, and head straight for the library to collect their reward. They decide that Malak should stay outside and hold on to the Jade Tyrant's journals while the others head into the library and organise their reward. Inside the library, they're greeted by the receptionist, Vexia, a female halfling who asks why they're here. The characters say that they're here about a job posting, and Vexia starts listing off open jobs that Skylar has posted, including the Lost City of Gold. This immediately catches the player's attention, as you would expect, but they inform her that they're here regarding the Jade Tyrant. So she sends them straight up. The heroes wait for a few minutes outside of Skylar's office, and when the door opens, Alam Zaki walks out, the leader of the rival party, slipping something into his pockets. The players immediately think that Alam has somehow screwed them over and that they'll be out of pocket, despite the fact that they have the journals. Alam's presence is enough to make them freak out, which is exactly what I wanted. Alam exchanges pleasantries with them and then leaves, and they get called into Skylar's office. Now, the players took an immediate liking to Skylar. She's pleasant and energetic and a little bit bumbling. Her desk is a mountain of books and papers and she doesn't seem to have any idea where anything is. They tell her that they have the journals and she's ecstatic. She practically throws a coin purse of a reward across the table at them. They go and fetch the journals and bring them to her, and she spends a few minutes sort of pouring through them, kind of forgetting that the players are even there, and then she tells them that she'd love to contact them for future work. The heroes agree, and then they ask her about the City of Gold, and she tells them that she's hoping that these journals will be a missing piece for that puzzle. She says that Ashk D&D, the Jade Tyrant, served under the Great Caliph who founded the supposed City of Gold. After leaving the library, the heroes spend the next day going around Azim looking for work. They visit Oren Zolto's auction house, hoping to sell some of their artifacts. Oren's auction house is where the elite gather to buy and sell rare magical goods, but the heroes only manage to secure a position in one of the more mundane auctions. They visit the blacksmith, the general store, and the churches dedicated to Koros and the Everlight, before retiring to the Setting Sun Tavern for the evening. Here they meet Sahali, an air ganassi who offers some work playing a prank on one of her friends. Sahali's an aggressive woman, and she spends the entire conversation with her hand on a bollock knife as a power move. She just sits there with it at the table. The heroes ask some questions and learn she wants them to steal a parade float dedicated to Hagen, the god of strength. This float is due to participate in the Alice Festival in 2 days' time. Alice is a holiday dedicated to crafting and giving gifts to your loved ones, but it's also a festival where people show off their crafting prowess by making huge parade floats. The heroes get cold feet and decline Sahali's offer, and she just leaves them. They ask Jax Hammermail, the inn owner, if he knows of any work, and he tells them to visit the morgue, and he also tells them that there's another mercenary in town who might let them tag along for some jobs. The following day, the heroes continue exploring the city, visiting the morgue and meeting Draven Zaros, the Dampier mortician. Hyena has met him before, but because her limited vision is based solely on heat, she's never registered his assistant, 0444, a Marian. The Marian are a homebrew race made by one of my players. Like Warforged, they're a constructed race who are made for war. They were originally made for the Beholders, but their history has been lost, and modern-day Marian often end up serving anyone and considering them to be their creators. Yui, as a former slave, is really uncomfortable with Draven keeping a slave, but he manages to mostly keep his cool throughout the conversation. Draven tells the heroes that he needs some Ankeg acid to use in the maceration process to more effectively strip flesh from bone. He asks them to travel to the nearby town of Hadun and recover some of this acid. He also asks them not to destroy any eggs they find, so that another brood of Ankeg will be ready to be harvested in a couple of seasons' time. Across town, a few hours later, the players also visit the shop of Icarus, the local tiefling herbalist and doctor. As they arrive, he's removing someone's tooth, and then he tells them about rumours of a group of cockatrice up in the forests around the Samek Mountains. The heroes agree to try and retrieve some cockatrice venom for Kyrus, and then finally they visit Jelen Orip, the local glassblower. Hyena asks him for a small glass flower, which he makes for her really quickly using an offcut from some large blue glass that he's forging into a hammer for the Hagen float. The characters retire for the night, and we skip ahead to the following day for the Festival of Alice. This is something the players had been looking forward to, and they'd been hanging around in town to watch the parade. They make their way down to the square outside the Tamine HQ and spend the day having a really great time. A little while into the parade, the float of Hagen, the one wielding the blue glass hammer, and the one that they were supposed to steal, comes past the Tamine HQ. Yui spots several figures in the crowd step forward and don golden wolf masks, and a moment later, Amutseba, Hyena's otherworldly patron from whom she draws her powers, tells her to get behind the lizard. Hyena follows the instructions, and a second later, the Hagen statue explodes in a fiery blaze, destroying the front of the Tamine HQ, and all hell breaks loose. The masked figures in the crowd start attacking people, and our heroes jump to action. They are able to defeat the masked attackers, though for a few rounds it really looks dangerous when they start to get overwhelmed. They take 2 of the attackers alive, but the attacker's leader manages to escape. Now tonight our heroes are going to begin their investigation of the attack, but they're also going to learn that they've gotten in the middle of something much larger than themselves, and that newcomers make great scapegoats. Please let me know if you enjoyed this campaign diary in the comments below, and if for some reason you haven't already watched episode 1, you can find it right here. But until next time, happy gaming.